Welcome back, everybody. This is the second installment of the Barn Find 1974 Corvette Stingray. The front and back bumpers have to be sprayed. There's no getting around that. But everything else is actually surprisingly whole and has plenty of material to work with. This is single stage paint, so I've shown in some of the other videos what I could do with single stage. I'll show you what I can do with this. The hood has to be reshaped, lined up a little bit. There are some chunks here and there out of the fiberglass, some scratches. That's a superficial one. Up towards the front, it's a little bit deeper. But the thing with single stage is it can be blended and look a lot better blended than it would if you had a clear coat paint job and you were trying to blend in a spot. So a lot of this can be saved. Probably 85% of the single stage can be saved. There's a patch job on the front fender there I was showing you. That has to be finished and fixed and then blended in. I have to get a mirror. But other than that, this thing is surprisingly whole, and there's a lot there to work with. When it comes to the wheels, it might be a set of rallies going on here, but the more I look at these, the more I find them unique. They're either aluminum or magnesium. I have to find out. They can be bead blasted, whitewashed, powder coated, or even chrome to maybe match some side pipes. I'm not sure yet. Plenty more to do before that. When it comes to the interior, whole except for two pieces, and that is really hard to find. Very dirty, and a lot has to be re-dyed, but I've showed you those two pieces right there are the only ones missing. Everything else is whole. The dash isn't even cracked. I've shown in a previous series how to fix, repair, and re-dye leather and vinyl and plaster, and I'll show you again in this video. All the gauges are there, just the radio's missing. No big deal. The 4-speed console, center console, door panels. The rug is whole, just needs to be cleaned. Some areas re-dyed. The parts in the back here on the back deck, everything is there except for the battery. When it comes to the engine compartment, everything is there except for the fan shroud. I have that. I have it outside of the car, but you know, everything's there. We have to replace the fuel filter, the fuel pump. It'll get a tune-up. It'll get distributor cap, and they already sort of did an upgrade there from that vacuum wiper unit to an electronic unit, but it still looks a little jiggy, so we're gonna have to take care of that. There's the filter we have to replace, but everything else is there and just has to be put together again. Normally the radiator support is rusted out. This one here is solid. Radiator doesn't leak. There's no leaks whatsoever, even underneath, and we'll look underneath shortly. I want to show you guys the frame. But when it comes to the headlights, that is a vacuum pump system, and they always have problems with these. These are jacked up so they stay up. I will work on those last. Not one of my favorite projects, but I've been through it before, and I'll walk you through it again. When we get to the undercarriage of the car, everything is surprisingly solid. The leaf spring, all the straps for the fuel tank. There's even a new exhaust on here. As we inspect the frame going all the way, you know, I believe with the barn, the guy threw a plastic mat on the dirt or whatever was acting as flooring for that barn down before he pulled the Corvette in, and that really saved it. As you can see here, everything really looks good. It's not really soaked with a ton of leaks. I will have to probably replace the oil pan gasket, but we're going to work on the fuel pump and the fuel filter here first. Get a battery in there as well. Everything is ready, set up, and we're good to go. 5 quarts Mobil 1, 10W30. We have our seafoam to clean the engine and the fuel system. We have an oil filter, fuel filter, new fuel pump and gasket, and brand new Deca battery. Let's get going. We're going to take out the fuel pump first, take off the 2 lines down below, then hop up top and get off those 7/16 bolts to remove the fuel pump. 1974, there would be a ton of room to work. However, the engineers always like to throw something in there to give you a challenge. Right there is the problem, that bent neck on the bottom of the fuel pump. Here's the brand new one, and that's all in good shape. That's what it should look like. Let's get that thing up in there, and we have it mounted. We have the hoses back on. We're going to take care of the filter here next. I will replace all the lines. Basically, I just want to get this thing running to make sure it runs well, and get it in and out of the garage so I can work on it inside and make sure there's no major leaks as I'm pulling it in and out. We're going to drop the oil in here and put 5 fresh quarts of Mobil 1 synthetic and a new filter, of course. And the thing I really like to see here is the oil that came out of here wasn't dark. You can actually see it through. It has a nice tan color. That is a great sign. Everything is really looking good so far. I'm very pleased so far with what we have to work with. Let's get that filter off of there, get the fresh filter on. Oil is refilled, cap going back on. And next, some nice fresh fuel. The whole system was drained, and we'll put a couple ounces of the seafoam in there so it can work its way in, clean up the fuel lines and injectors. Have to get a brand new battery in there as well. Put a little bit of fuel down the carburetor, and we're good to go. Let's hit the ignition and see what it does. Everything looks good so far, no major leaks. I thought it would be smoking a lot more than this. There's a little bit of moisture coming out of the left bank, but that's expected. That's going to work its way out of there. It just needs to be run a little bit. It's running a little high. The carb's going to get rebuilt anyway, so no big deal. But I'm very pleased so far. Okay, next we want to take it out for a little bit of a spin, see if everything works. The power steering is working fine, clutch feels fine, it's shifting nice and smooth. It has brakes, but they're a little spongy, so we'll probably have to work on the master cylinder and the slave cylinders, check all the brake lines, and replace the pads. So it is alive, yes. So we can pull it in and out of the shop. We can assess it, see what we need to order, see what we can save, both inside, outside, in the engine compartment, the braking system, the suspension. That's going to do it for this episode. We'll pick up where we left off in the next Barn Find, Repair, and Restore.